Good evening, good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Please feel
Morning.
free to, great. Please feel free to open your mic. So we're going to have a fun discussion. Tonight, we're going to talk about one of my favorite filmmaker and also a mentor of mine named Ernest Prakasa. So he's made 5 films, directed and written by his own, and he's pretty well known for his social observation. So today we're going to talk about what is it about with his movies and how, as storytellers, we can actually adapt his style of storytelling. So without further ado, let's talk about his first film. I don't know if you have watched it, but it was directed by him and it was released in 2015. It's called Ernest, Natawain Hidup ala Ernest. So please raise your hand if you have watched the movie. No, oh, this was actually very good. So not only it sold quite a lot of tickets and it was nominated for one Chitra Trophy. It's like an Oscar in this country. So the story actually tells about racism, how Ernest has lived through his 90s as well as 2000s, and how the racism that he encountered in the past made him only deny the fact that he does not want to have a Chinese Indonesian descent. So instead, he really wanted to marry a non-Chinese Indonesian woman so that his kid will not have to encounter discrimination like he did. So what was so good about this film was that not only Ernest has a very unique style of humor because he is a stand-up comedian, he's also brings such an important theme, which is about Indonesian, how we handle racism. I think right now it's been more relevant with all the Black Lives Matter and Papuan racism as well. And lastly, what was so good is actually the impact, how Ernest managed not only to create a great funny movie, but right after I watched the movie, I did not felt offended at all, but I contemplated of what I did in the past. And I think that was one of the most powerful thing about movies. You actually could connect to people that you don't really know. So while Ernest Pracasa's Ngenes is actually a masterpiece, it was actually his second feature that managed to grab attention of the people. So raise your hand if you have watched Cek Toko Sebelah. Right, I'm pretty sure you have. So I'm pretty sure you would agree that to a certain extent, this movie is relatable. So the story tells about a father who wants his son to continue the legacy of his toko or convenience store, but his son is so successful in the office that it's hard to take this kind of job. It's a family movie drama, but it was so relatable. But it also talks about important topics subtly, way more subtle than Ngenes, but it still remains the same. So it clearly sold 2.8 million tickets, so that's huge back then in 2016. And it was nominated for 10 Chitra trophies. I think so far he's the only comedian who managed to have this achievement, and he won one, which was original screenplay. So, however, after that, his third feature may not grab attention as strong as Susah Sinyal. Sorry, as strong as Cek Toko Sebelah. Susah Sinyal only sold 2.5 million ticket and won 3 Iboma awards, which was an award, but not as prestigious or as influential as Festival Film Indonesia or Citra Trophy. Millie and Mamet also did the same thing. It was sold quite a lot of tickets, but not actually considered as critical reception by filmmakers and film critics. But his last feature, Imperfect, sold 2.8 million tickets. I think by far it's his highest grossing movies. And it was nominated for 8 Maya trophies, not yet in contender for Festival Film Indonesia next year or this year, but it will probably be nominated in multiple categories. It's just as good as his other movies, but the theme or the subject matters that he brought was kind of different. It's about women, it's about insecurities, it's about body image. While you might be wondering why Ernest talks that point of view, it was actually adapted from his wife's book, Meira Anastasia. And Meira also directed this movie. So if I could point out, It's actually Meira's achievement rather than Ernest Prakasa's achievement. So we've talked about a lot of movies directed by Ernest, right? But the second question is actually, what does it mean for Indonesian cinema? But more importantly, what does it mean for storytellers? Is there anyone who wants to answer this? No?
Me.
Toastmasters? Anyone?
I want to answer.
Yes, please.
It means that along the journey there will be ups and downs as Ernest has passed from the beginning. It was not so good, but it suddenly reached at the peak point and then goes down and suddenly he went up again. So there's
Wow.
always ups and downs in life.
That is actually true. That's exactly what he taught in his screenwriting class. Thank you so much. But that is so true. Toastmaster Ratu, is that a raising hand?
Yes.
Yes,
This
please.
is the raising hand. This is the raising hand.
Yes.
I think the theme or the topics that he brought along the way were actually, you can say, like a taboo topic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Racial, it's actually there in our eyes, but somehow we do not want to address it because we are afraid that it is too sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
But Ernest somehow is able to actually bring it up without having people got offended. So in a way, it opens up a more or even wider theme into cinema to bring in. That's what I thought.
That's exactly correct, Toastmaster Ratu. So I think if I could conclude everybody's opinion, probably what Ernest could bring on the table is authenticity, because I think both testimonials managed to explain that it's the kind of story that only Ernest could bring. So if I could paraphrase, nobody can be you other than you, because that's what he did. The story that he captured is only able to be told from his perspective. And that's exactly how us as storytellers, as speakers, supposed to do. So we've seen great speakers for these past 5 years or 10 years. From Brené Brown, the one who actually talks about the power of vulnerability in TED Speaker, and the champion in 2016 World Toastmasters. I forgot his name. Let me just see my notes. Darren Tai, exactly. And there's also my favorite speaker of all time, Ryan Avery. And there's the woman who's considered as the ugliest woman in the world. There's MJ Rodriguez, the first trans woman managed to cast a lead role in TV series, and Erin Beverly, last year's champion. So what do they have in common? Anyone?
Same profession?
Sorry, what?
Same profession?
Same profession. That's true, exactly. But other than that, they manage to be known because they are authentic. Whatever they tell, whatever they do, they're being themselves, and they only could tell stories that they could capture. So by that is actually the end of my presentation. I think I overtime, but that's okay. I have fun. Hopefully you guys could actually take whatever that I try to deliver. So back to Toastmasters of the meeting.